Sarah, you're looking at the north end of the Dead Sea. We're at Qumran, of course, still. And the Dead Sea, the lowest place on Earth, 1,312 feet below sea level. And yet, that number is always changing. I'll tell you why it's always changing. It's because the amount of water coming down the Jordan River, which feeds this, has declined dramatically over the years. Since 1950, in fact, between 1950 and 2000, that thing dropped 80 feet. And it's continuing to drop about 3 feet a year. That's been a plan. What are we going to do?
Does that mean it's going to disappear in the future, or?
That's the concern.
Oh, man.
That's the concern. What do we do to keep that from just completely disappearing? And so there's been various things proposed, pipeline from the Mediterranean, pipeline from the Red Sea, but so far nothing has been done to stop the drop each year. And of course, the Dead Sea is kind of an interesting place because it's 1/3 solid. It's not just water.
Okay.
Evaporation takes place, the salts are left, you have sodium chloride, potassium chloride, some of the other chlorides, and as a result, it's very, very thick water. It feels it feels oily when you get in,
Oh, wow.
but you can't drown. You can sit back and just float and read a newspaper.
Oh my goodness.
It's really a strange experience to float on that. And of course, there are other chemicals in there too, magnesium, bromide, and so there's a large plant to our south at the south end, and they actually have pools where they allow that water in and then let it evaporate more, and then they harvest all those minerals.
Nice.
Now, go ahead, you can ask a question.
It's called the Dead Sea. Does that mean that there's nothing living in it?
I'm
due to
glad you
all of
asked that.
these?
Yeah, because that's the fact. Yeah, nothing can live in it. Fish.
Yeah.
You could have no fish live in it. It's so salty that no, you could go fish all day and you'll never catch anything. There's no fish there. But I also want you to notice what's across the way, almost due east of Qumran, near the top of the Dead Sea, is Mount Nebo.
Oh, okay.
When the Israelites came to this land, after they left Egypt, they wandered for 40 years in the wilderness, and then they came in on that side, and they went up, and Moses was up there on Mount Nebo, and that's where he got to look out and see the promised land, and that's where he died. And so his body at one time was up there. It's no longer there.
Okay, so was it moved or?
Yeah, the Lord took it.
Awesome.
That's right. Okay. Okay, we'll go there. That's great. I love it. That was great.
Final product.
Yeah. No, that was super.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was super. That was
That was genuine.
You're
that
like,
was
yeah.
genuine. Yeah. Yeah. Now I could add a Josephus reading if it's was that close to 5 minutes?
No.
No. Okay. Let me add a Josephus reading then.
Oh my goodness.
And this you'll just have another little shot.
Remember that part.
You'll have her and then a little shot and then let me just read this. Okay. Okay. Well, Sarah, let me read to you a passage from Josephus. You remember who he is, of
Yes.
course. He's important because he gives us so much information that we love to read because it enlightens us concerning what's going on in Bible times and so forth. And he describes this location. And so let me read what he says about it, because the Bible does not say much about the Dead Sea. It is mentioned, but let me read what Josephus says. The nature of the lake Asphaltus. Asphaltus sounds like the word
Asphalt.
asphalt.
Yeah.
That's right. Is also worth describing. It is, as I have said already, bitter and unfruitful. It is so light or thick that it bears up the heaviest things that are thrown into it. Nor is it easy for anyone to make things sink therein to the bottom, if he had a mind so to do. Accordingly, when Vespasian went to see it, he commanded that some who could not swim should have their hands tied behind them and be thrown into the deep, when it so happened that they all swam as if a wind had forced them upwards. Moreover, the change of the color of this lake is wonderful, for it changes its appearance thrice every day, as the rays of the sun fall differently upon it. The light is variously reflected, however, it casts up black clods of bitumen in many parts of it, These swim at the top of the water and resemble both in shape and size headless bulls. And when laborers that belong to the lake come to it and catch hold of it as it hangs together, they draw into it their ships. But when the ship is full, it is not easy to cut off the rest, for it is so tenacious as to make the ship hang upon its clods. This bitumen is not only useful for the caulking of ships, but for the cure of men's bodies. Accordingly, it is mixed in a great many medicines. So it's a tar that comes up from the bottom and has been going on now for thousands of years. And it used to be harvested. The people who lived over here, the Edomites, would go out there and they'd put it in their boats. And then they'd sell it for various purposes, seal up ships for various ointments and so forth.